Well, hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yay,
Yes,
yay.
Friday. It's Friday. Y'all, when you come on, say hey in the comments to my beautiful friend, Madonna Ladouceur.
Yes, you nailed it.
I got it. First try.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Hanging out on the couch on a
Yes,
Friday night.
This is fabulous. No, I love it. It's great. I love the colors. I'm a color person, and this is so fun. And I'm excited to talk about my journey. And
yeah, we've been looking forward to this for quite some time.
Yes,
Yeah, you guys, this actually is the last official Sprinkle Pod for the season. There may be a few pop-ups, but I know I've been looking forward to having you on. We talked so long ago. I feel like it was in the winter, I think.
Yeah, well, I read your book at Christmas.
Oh my
God. And I got in touch with you immediately.
Oh my God.
So yes, but I love being the anchor. I love that.
Love it.
Finish strong. I hope I can do you justice.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I can't, you guys, you know what's really cool about Sprinkle Pods is I really don't hear much of my guest's story ahead of time. So we were just chatting of just a little bit, and oh my goodness, what a part. I mean, it's so many different arenas. So we have a lot of different areas, little sprinkles that we get to touch on, and the way that God has been glorified and just chasing you down, which is what Sprinkle Pods is all about. So I'm so excited to share that.
Thank you.
So what we'll do is I can't wait to dive into your story. So I'm going to pray and then share a little bit about what Sprinkle Pods are all about in case you're brand new. First of all, welcome.
Probably just my family.
Are they the new ones? Yeah. Well, Madonna's family will tell you what Sprinkle Pods are in just 1 second. I love it. Okay, well, let me pray for us, sweet friend, and then we'll get rolling into your story. Father God, thank you for this time. I've been so honored to do these Sprinkle Pods so that we get to shine a light on you. And just by talking about how you are there in the everyday, you are such an incredible God. You show up whether we know it or not. You show up when we least expect it. And you just ambush us with your love. You chase us down. And the beautiful thing is that you're always there. I am just so delighted to be able to honor you with these and to tell all the stories and see how it can be relatable for somebody that's watching that may not know you yet. So Lord, thank you for this time together as we talk about your story through Madonna and shining a light on the glory of you. We love you. We praise you. And I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So for those of you that are brand new, first of all, hi, everybody. Welcome. Please be active in the comments. We love comments. And if I was just telling Madonna this, if you see me looking away a little bit, I promise I'm paying attention, but I also like to keep an eye on all of you and your comments, because once in a while, I love to just put your comments up and share what you guys are saying, or maybe it's something relatable in Madonna's story. And so let's talk about that. All right. So if you're brand new, Sprinkle Pods, what are they? What is a Sprinkle Pod? Sprinkle Pods are they're a video cast that God whispered into my heart to do these, because I was blessed to be able to write a book called God Sprinkles alongside, I always say, Jesus was sitting right there. Yeah. And so to write this book about all the sprinkles in my life, the way that he showed up when I least expected it. And really the formal term for that is God's providence. And the definition of providence is what the tagline is of the book: the supernatural of God revealed in the natural of every day. So women that have read the book, they come on and we get to shine a light then on their story. And I say this every time, that it's not about my book, it's about his book. And it's about shining a light on him. Yes. I love that. Let's show that. This is a good one.
It is.
Women's devotional.
Well loved.
I love it.
It has bookmarks and writings and highlights, and yes, have it for a long time. So,
and I just had a woman on named Leilani. Some of you might have seen that episode, and she bought that for you.
Yes, this is from my good friend Leilani, who I've known for 40 years now. 35 years. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, let me just share how we know one another. Or we can just share this together. Do you want to tell? You want to tell the story?
I mean, you gotta love pageants.
Yes, the Miss America Scholarship.
That's right. Program.
Yes, we're very diligent on saying program.
That's right. I competed in a lot of locals.
Yeah.
Won a few. Was fortunate to go to Miss Michigan a number of times before I won, and was blessed to be Miss Michigan 2003.
Yes.
I went to Miss America. I had a fabulous time there. Met a lot of wonderful, very faith-driven friends who I still talk to daily. I mean, they're just. It's a real testament to how a good friend doesn't need to be close by. No. You feel them. They're in your heart, they are 7 of the closest girlfriends, most amazing women you've ever met, and we talk all the time. And then of course scholarship money. I was able to pay for a number of degrees with my winnings. And
you said you didn't mind sharing.
Oh yeah. Oh sure. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So with my couple trips to Miss Michigan, and then when I won and went to Miss America and was fortunate to place in the top 15 total, I walked away with $36,000.
That is incredible. That's why I love the program.
And didn't even win Miss America. I mean, that's the thing I always talk about. You don't have to win to be a winner. It was I was so grateful and was able to pay for my first degree. And then as we might get to, I think the lessons learned helped me pay for my second degree. So
such a blessing.
A lot to that program, and more so the women in it that paved the way. And
it's wonderful. And they were all part of your journey, all part of your story. And that's what I love about our life and our relationship with Jesus is, I don't know, God just, he sees it before we ever know it. All these women that are going to be in your life and play a role in your journey. And I'm just going back to the Miss America organization. I just, when Leilani was on, I was talking about how David loves it too.
Yeah.
Because
I love that.
It's based on, your talent, and you were a quality of life recipient, which is
a finalist for that award.
Finalist.
Yes, a finalist.
We were top 5 in Miss America. Super
15,
cool.
Top 15.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right.
There was a 5.
So many layers.
There was a 5. Top 15 in Miss America, and a finalist for the Quality of Life Award, which had a focus on
service. Yes. And my service was on special education and education for those that had disabilities. And and it's great to be recognized for that, but the work involved was really where we shined. And all of the women who applied for that award and did various things in service, and that again is a crux to the Miss America organization. It's not just about being on stage. There's 99.9% of that organization is not on camera.
Right.
You know, so it was,
People often say, what's the difference between Miss America and Miss Universe? Sure. Quick little fun fact. There's Miss Universe, and you go there by way of Miss USA in your state. And it's I'm sure a great program. They don't have the talent portion.
That's right. That's biggest difference.
And there isn't a focus on Scholastic on the scholarship. So that's different. It's a different organization. Miss America, you win your local title, then your state, and then Miss America, and it's all based on you have your talent, your platform that you speak on and write about. It's incredible. Service hours, volunteering, and then you win scholarship money. Right. That's the reward. So it's an incredible organization.
It was, and I was fortunate to have support across the state with a lot of different locals, and even now, I mean, currently the director for Miss Oakland County, Francesca, who you probably know. Hi, Francesca. She's my best friend. She and I have been going strong in this program for a long time, and she still runs it and helps women get to that level of competition and scholarship and service, and it's just amazing.
It is such a selfless organization. Everybody is a volunteer. It's just incredible giving women these opportunities. I mean, year after year, these executive directors and all the volunteers, it's just it's really great.
And I always like to say too that never in my life have I been asked more about who I am, what I want to do, what my future holds, which has a lot to do with, I think, my story too. But they really ask you to define who you are and what you stand for. And you don't get a lot of people asking young adults that question or asking them to come up with that opinion of themselves at 20 years old. What do you stand for? So that in and of itself is life lessons. And that's the strength to the program.
What was your platform?
My platform was the education and recreation, because I did a lot with Special Olympics for children with disabilities. So a lot with Special Olympics, Make-A-Wish, a lot of volunteering at different schools. And then I also worked with legislation to help with free and appropriate public education and Individuals with Disabilities Act and things like that.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for all of your service
Oh,
and all the
thanks.
work and the volunteering and what you've done, the difference that you've made for all of these organizations and people that you
Thanks.
met along the way.
Yes, that's the people for sure.
Well, we had a few minutes to sit on the porch when you first got here, and you told me a little tidbit of each of some of the stories, and it's fascinating. Where do you want to start in cannonballing it?
Oh,
I know. Wait, I wanted to say the way that you landed on the book.
Your book. Yeah.
So that's really fun. Melissa Reyes.
Yes.
Share that story. It's so cool.
So it's just amazing how God puts those little
sprinkles,
little sprinkles in your life. And I'm a nurse currently. I work for the Detroit Medical Center, and Melissa and I work together. She is fabulous. She's a scrub tech. She's a department secretary. She's amazing. One of the best coworkers I have. And for Christmas, just kind of out of nowhere and in coincidence, she gifted me this.
Oh my gosh, that blessed me so much.
And
I had no
read
idea.
it immediately and loved it. And yeah. And she loves Barn
45.
I was afraid I was going to get the number wrong.
Barn 45. Barn 45.
And so I learned about that through her, and sprinkle pods and all of that.
And it's so fun because we know each other. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
That she gives you this book, and we know each other, and then I just love it.
And I also think it's amazing that despite the environment we're in, I mean, I'm not dropping to my knees in prayer every day at work.
Right.
We're working on our feet and we're running from here and there.
I love it.
But she knew I was a woman of faith enough to feel comfortable gifting me that book. And same with her. I mean, we didn't have a lot of in-depth conversation prior to that.
I want to go back to this.
I think it's amazing. I think we wear it like a proud little badge, and other people can say, I think she has a relationship with God. We're going to chat.
I want to come back to that because of what we were just talking about before we went live. But before even, I just realized I wanted you to share about your family. Yeah. You're also you're a wife and a mama. I'm going to show a picture of your beautiful. So picture is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. That is my family. So you can see there my husband, JP. He and I have been together for 25 years. Aww. Met our senior year in high school. And then we have 4 beautiful children. Yes, our oldest is Eve there. She is almost 17. She'll be a senior in high school at St. Catherine of Siena. Wow. And then Jack is the one in the glasses there. He is 13, almost ready for Catholic Central. He'll be starting there in the fall. And then Brady. And then our little surprise baby, Anna Grace. That's our crew. And I love it because I always say my girls are my bookends and the boys are the ones that still cozy up to me. And it's just, I was so blessed. And, from going from not knowing if I could even have kids to having 4 amazing, beautiful, wonderful kids.
You have a beautiful family. Yes. And
Pride of my life.
JP. Yes. Fun fact: JP won the boyfriend. We'll tell about that real quick. Because JP
was given the
great.
Best Pageant Boyfriend Award.
Okay.
So because we started our relationship just as I was starting my career in pageants, he was there the whole time, the whole journey. And he would do things like record the shows and take pictures and make t-shirts, and the executive directors just loved him. And because they saw how supportive he was, which is not always the case when you're a young adult pageants. And he came to Atlantic City with us and made and I think he really liked that I won scholarship money and didn't go into debt before we got married. And so this day he's always been a champion and more or less says whatever you want, babe. Most days. Boyfriend
of the year, husband of the year. That's awesome. Well, God, what a blessing, this beautiful family, wonderful husband.
So
we're gonna talk more about your family and the way that God showed up in a pretty amazing way with something that you guys endured and went through many times over. So now let's just cannonball. Okay. Let's just have a conversation about the goodness of God in your life.
Absolutely. I know you had asked kind of just where my faith journey started. I was raised Catholic. I have 2 very faith-driven parents. My father actually was in seminary for a little bit and decided I think he wanted a family. I don't really quite know what happened, but long story short, he did not become a priest.
It's a whole story.
He's always had a great deal of faith. My mother, oh my gosh, if you need a prayer warrior, she is your woman. She also knows better than anyone I know, the patron saints of all these,
Okay.
so she's
knows.
always like, oh, well, pray to St. Anthony. Oh, pray to St. Francis. And I don't know. That's an inventory in her brain.
She's got
That's
it.
always, yeah. So
And
that
what
was,
are their names? Your mom and
oh,
dad?
yes. My mom is Denise McGuire and my dad is Ray Eamon. My maiden name was Eamon. And yeah. And then they're amazing. And they started that foundation for all of us, and was raised Catholic, baptized, First Communion, went to St. Robert Bellarmine in Redford, all through grade school, went to Mercy High School for high school. And so there was always that component.
The foundation.
Was I a kid who loved church? Some days not.
That's a beautiful thing, is we get to grow into that relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There were parts of church I love singing. I don't sing well, but I always said that if I'm in church, I sound just a little bit better than I. And
you know what? It's the acoustics.
It is. So I can sing. I was still to this day. I remember all of those songs that you learned as a kid in the Catholic church, and I sing them all the time. In fact, the song that I chose, rather than being a modern song, I chose a song that I grew up hearing, especially at funerals or times of strife, where you have to take that walk of faith and be not afraid. Gets me always.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I chose that. But and then as I entered adulthood, I always have had a relationship with God. It's changed in terms of different perspectives, or how I felt like he was present in my life in those different moments. But he's always been there, and I've always considered myself a Christian. As an adult now, and raising my children, I still look at the Catholic Church as being an amazing foundation. But I've also been open to other denominations of Christianity. And sometimes it's just, you wake up and you're like, I feel like going to Grumlaw today, or I feel like,
you do?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we're wishy-washy. We just kind of like to, whatever speaks to us that
is
day.
In no way wishy-washy, because you're trusting where you feel led to go.
Yeah.
There's not a rule in that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Because sometimes we'll go to St. Matthew's in Commerce Township. We'll go to Grace, which is right around the corner from me. And, it's amazing to see the different works and the community in all of these different congregations. And it's really lovely. And the kids love Grumlaw because they get to go to children's church.
Yeah.
And, but sometimes I think, we need to have that nice outlined Catholic service. Let's go. We need let's rein it in. Let's get some discipline, and no more iPads and no more coloring books, and we're just going to listen. What? Yes, it's time to listen. So yeah. So we do belong to St. Pat's in White Lake, and that's where my children are baptized and had their first communion and things like that. Yeah.
When did you start to notice a relationship with Jesus? When you're not driving anywhere, you're not going anywhere, just leaning on him. Was there a point in your life that you remember?
I was during pageant time and college, when you kind of are looking to define yourself and find who you are, had conversations with Jesus all the time.
That's what's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I studied abroad in Strasbourg, France. Was scared out of my mind to be that far away from home for that long, for an entire semester. And I found myself going to church in these huge, beautiful cathedrals, and this, the inspiration that led me there. And some of the services were in Latin, some were in German, some were in French. But the great part, again, about Catholic services, I knew exactly what they were saying because it's the same all the time. So, and it helped ground me, and it helped me get through that time of just generalized fear. But then when I came back, and JP and I got married, and I was looking down that road of becoming a parent. I think that's when I started to really look at what my purpose was. And I would ask, like, what do you want from me? Where do you want me to go?
You're just talking to him.
Yeah. But but I've always been told, you can ask the question.
Yeah.
He may not answer you the way you or
you
would hope,
in your timing.
In your
in
timing.
His timing. That's how we know he's so
all his
real.
good and perfect timing. Yes, but you ask the question. So when I graduated from my first degree as a teacher, I got a BSN or a BA in teaching. I just assumed, I was going to get a job. That's how it goes, right? You grow up and you learn.
We have a plan.
Yeah.
We have a plan. Yeah.
And I am a planner. I am a list maker. I am a planner. That is the way it was supposed to go. And growing up, especially in this faith-filled house, it was just, that's the thing you did. You went to school, you got good grades, you were a kind person, and you would be rewarded with a job and a career. And then you pass that on to your children. Right. And that is where the trajectory of my life, what I thought was supposed to be the trajectory of my life.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and then
story.
I graduated and then didn't have a job.
So this is what I learned on the porch. Yes. This is the goodness of God. Yeah. I love that song. Do you know that song? Yes, the goodness of God. Yes. Yeah, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Well, that's reckless love, but with goodness of God, he's with us all the time. Yes. He's there whether we knew it or not, and he has a plan. And so for you graduated and you wanted to find a job, you could not find a job, just and frustrated. And what I love that you shared, which is what's so wonderful about our God, is you talked to him about it.
I did.
Hey,
I may have even cried and gotten a little bit angry too.
I didn't want to be the one to say it because you told me that. I wanted to let you say that. No, yes, and I love that.
That's okay.
Book of Lamentations, the whole book of Lamentations, crying out, and he wants us to do that. That's what's so beautiful. Like you said, you were talking about finding a specific church, which is, it's great. We have fellowship, and we, wherever we go, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to go and have fellowship at church. But when you can cry out to God and to know in your heart that he is okay with it, that's what builds the sustainable relationship. That's him saying, his opporpenity for us to surrender to him.
Right.
And lean on him. Exactly. We're in your car when you're mad, going, God.
That's where I get, my most passion comes out. And I actually will say that to some of my friends and family members when they're going through trying times and they get upset or they get angry, and they'll talk to me and they'll say, I just, I feel guilty being angry. I said, don't. I said, your anger is not a sin. Your anger just reinforces the fact that he's there. You may not understand what he's telling you. But anger is a human emotion. He didn't give it to us, for no reason. I think that it reinforces that you do believe he's there.
You're there, you're upset, you're sharing it, you're crying out. That is in no way a sin. No. It's when we go away from him. It's said over and over and over again in his word. That's what breaks his heart, is when we go away.
Yeah. So I was, we wanted to go down the road of a family. I couldn't find a teaching position. I had little jobs here and there. And I remember I was waiting tables, and it wasn't really necessarily because I had to, but I wanted to contribute to our marriage. And so I thought, well, in the meantime, as I try to find my purpose, I'll be a server. So, and I just remember walking out to the car one day, feet hurting, exhausted, smelling like food. And I got in the car and I just started crying. And I said, I don't understand. I did everything right. I did exactly what you told me to do. I didn't get into trouble as a teenager. I went to school. I used my scholarship money. I'm a good person. Where is my job? And then, things started to kind of fall in line. But I think I had to get to that point because I didn't know what he had in store for me. Yeah. I couldn't see it.
I love that story because I don't know, it's just so relatable. It's almost like a movie, where you're just crying out. I had the plan. I did all the things. I did everything right. It's so relatable.
Well, and you're told too all your life, or by society standards, that and not just with careers, but that certain things are going to happen when you do things right. And when they don't happen, and you question why you worked so hard or why you did this, and the lessons learned just aren't clear yet, it can be very upsetting and overwhelming. And that's where I kind of was at that point. And it was hard too for JP. I mean, he knew also, that I wanted to work. I always say, I had the option of being a stay-at-home mother. He has a great career, and we could have made some adjustments, and that could have been an option. And as much as I love my children, I am a better mother because I'm a working mother. I am.
It's better for everybody.
It's better for everybody. So I just knew I had a purpose, though.
Yeah. It goes back to what you said about the Miss America program, where they say, how did you word that? Who are you, and what do you
stand for?
What do you stand for?
Yes.
And who are you?
Mhm.
And that is beautiful that you can say that.
Mhm.
There are women that say, you know what, it's better if I go to work. And there's some women that say, they want it just, you know you,
Yeah.
and you can come home and
Well, and I love the time I have with them more, I
right.
think. And the time I step away and do things, not, just for me, but that adult time, I think is also great. Plus they see it, and maybe that's a good example. I mean, there's so many layers to why I think that working was always in my future, but I wasn't there yet, when I first graduated, and that all of that mixture of job and family and balance and life, and where does it come from, and am I doing it right? Am I making the right choice? And I think we question that constantly. This is not an isolated question in my mind, but it took some time to see.
You know what? I want to point this out because it's been on my heart today. It came up today when we were at the barn, and it's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And then I was writing out something to a young woman today, and I'm going to be focusing on this for young women, for women. This is my new favorite. It's in Genesis, and I didn't have it memorized. I knew it was where it was because she's my girl. I love her. Her name's Hagar. But I looked it up today. Now I won't forget it. It's Genesis 16, verse 13. And it's a woman named Hagar that is just, something she didn't have a choice in. She did the right. Has to be frustrated, and she's just in this desert land, kind of just exiled, and she's crying. And what would be then, a typology of Jesus is standing there with her, and she looks up and sees him, and he lets her know that he sees her. And that is what you're talking about. And when she looked up, she saw this spring of water that was always there, but she didn't see it until she opened her eyes. And so she named this water source. I forget I think it's, I don't want to misquote it, but it means he sees me. So I wrote to this young woman today. I said, he's always been there. He's there. He sees you. He always has, and he always will. And it reminds me of you and your story, where he sees us. He always will, even when we don't see him. He's there. And that's what that reminds me of. So her name is Hagar, and it's in Genesis 16:13. So look it up. I'm just stuck on that scripture because we as women, people, lovers of Jesus, can't forget that we will grow weary.
Yes.
But he doesn't.
That's right.
We may leave him, but he doesn't
never
leave
leaves us.
I love that.
That's right.
So that's reminding me of where you were, and then the beautifulness of your story. So then the trajectory changing season.
It was amazing. So in this period of time, looking for jobs, looking for teaching jobs, I applied to a number of them, had some close calls with getting one, but for a variety of reasons, it just wasn't in the cards for me. And then I looked at a couple other avenues. And in the meantime, about 6 months after my husband and I were married, my grandmother had a stroke, and she was in the hospital and was not doing well. Just very vulnerable, nonverbal, not very stable actually. And I rushed to see her. It was Christmas Eve. And I rushed to be there, and I happened to be walking in as many of my family members were exiting the room. Most my dad is one of 7, and he has mostly brothers. He has 2 sisters, but so a lot of my uncles were leaving the room. But they said, "Go ahead, go in and see her." And as I walked in to see my grandma, just laying there, not looking like her at all, and I stroked her hand, and then her nurse came in to bathe her, and I went to leave because that's a pretty vulnerable position to be in. And despite her not being able to say so, I just assumed she wouldn't want me to be there. And as I stepped away from her bed, she grabbed my hand, and tight. She grabbed it so tight that the nurse looked up and said, "It's okay, darling, you can stay." I said, "Okay, you think it will be all right?" And she said, "No, she's showing you. She wants you to stay." I said, "Okay." And I stood there, in that moment where I've never seen my grandmother look as weak physically. She was a strong lady. She was such a strong lady. 7 kids. I mean, you had to be. And she looked just so small and so weak. And they started to care for her in such a loving way. I'm so grateful for them. And being there, and I thought, well, oddly, I got this feeling. I said, this is not uncomfortable. I would imagine seeing my grandma in this position being very uncomfortable. If you had told me, do you want to be in the room when they bathed your grandmother and she's naked, I would have said no. But in that moment, there was a peace about it. And I was so respectful and in awe of these wonderful women who were caring for my grandmother. And I didn't think much of it at the time, just respect for these lovely ladies. And then a few months later, sadly, my grandma did pass away from eventual complications of the stroke. And that still in that moment, I hadn't found a job, not a teaching job anyway. I had those other little jobs, and I just wasn't sure. And again, going through that season of anger and not being sure of what I was doing. And then I thought, you know what? I think I could do what they did.
You felt it.
I did.
Sometimes it's not that knowing. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's you feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we wanted to start a family, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden I thought, why did I think of this with my first degree? And why didn't I think of this when I was in high school and everyone was asking me, what do you want to do with you? I wanted to be a teacher since I was 4 years old. That was the path for me. I knew in my gut that I was supposed to be a teacher. So nursing never really occurred to me.
Gosh.
And then I was on the phone with my father, who again was just he's just a wonderful man. He's in healthcare. So my entire life, I've watched him go to work at a hospital.
Like, didn't come up.
I've gone to work with him. He used to have a home infusion pharmacy. I'd go to his house calls and talk to the people there.
Wow.
I've watched him hang, IVs.
Conditioned.
And never did I think in my mind that I could do that until this moment when I was talking to him. And he also said, what about nursing? And,
you're never going to believe this.
I said, Dad, I was just thinking that. But also, why didn't you tell me that 6 years ago? Where were you when I, and
probably
then,
like a good father. Yeah. He was like our heavenly Father. Mm-hmm. Just, you're going to, sometimes when we tell our kids, and I can only imagine what God is,
laughing.
Yeah. But I can try to tell you, but you're going to have to feel this.
But I told him, I said, I was thinking that too. And I said, and I did ask him, I said, what? I wonder why that conversation has never come up. And I think now, looking back on it, I really don't believe that as a young adult, that 18-year-old new high school graduate going into college, I really don't think I had the confidence to do it. I think if someone had suggested nursing to me in my original undergraduate, I would have said, no. Oh no, I could never do that. Those people are amazing and so smart, and I would kill someone or any other excuse, I'm sure, as a meek 19-year-old might come up with. So I think because that suggestion was not made at that time, and he waited until I had the confidence of a degree and a supportive husband and a whole bunch of other things. Mm-hmm. It took that time for me to go, I think I could do that.
I'm listening to your story and I'm seeing two highlight moments in your car as a waitress, smelling like food.
Fried food.
Yeah. And that moment when your grandma reached your hand, that was the moment that you found your reason why.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. And that's what needed to happen, because going in with your own understanding and it doesn't make logical sense. But when she grabbed your hand and your heart of compassion saw what she was going through, the vulnerability, and your heart just shifted that somehow you want to be a part of this role.
And I mean, this was 18 years ago, and I can feel it still. I can feel her palm. So
that's the goodness of God.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, that'll always stay with me too, which is great. I mean, I've always had a special relationship with my grandparents, and to have that follow me, even into my adulthood was just a gift. So,
So for people that are watching, you don't have a relationship with Jesus, and it might seem confusing, where is he? That's what I love about these stories, illuminating people's stories, because it's in those moments where we get to we realize looking back, when we look at the bird's eye view, it doesn't make sense when we're up close to it.
Right.
But when we look at the bird's eye view about how we orchestrated the whole thing, and there's a couple words that I'm excited to highlight in your story that you talked about, but it's in those moments where we look back from the bird's eye view and we realize when we try leaning on our own understanding, and I saw, do you have Proverbs 3:6?
Oh yes,
you have it written down.
I
so
do, and it's
that.
highlighted in my Bible, and it's everywhere.
So share that. I love that. Leaning not.
Yes, lean not on your own understanding, in all of your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And it's interesting because I always gravitated towards that verse. And every day I find new reason to love it. And I'm like, there it is again.
Because you're not just reading it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, right.
You felt it. Mm-hmm. You experienced it. When you're sitting there smelling like fried food, that is the moment where you're leaning on your own understanding.
Right.
Well, I know I'm like you. Like when I would, as a kid, I don't even know if I had a Bible, but I didn't know that scripture at all. But when you look back now, or when you would try to read it, you get intimidated. I don't know if I'll ever remember that, but when you look back now, you go, oh, Proverbs 3:5-6. I sat as a waitress, smelling like fried food, leaning on my own understanding, and getting angry at God. That is that's how this Bible pops out at us.
Right. And even in healthcare too. And I mean, we'll elaborate to my story, but we don't have all the answers, far from it. So there are days where I have to say, okay, I need some help. I cannot lean on my own knowledge because it's, it's not enough.
So the word I wanted to get to, if it's okay, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but tell your story then you're becoming you're a nurse.
Well,
and then
I got accepted into nursing school. So we did end up, getting pregnant with our daughter, Eve, just prior to me getting into the nursing program. And I have to, a little note on that. I have to say, I was married. I had been with JP for several years. We had been married for 2 years. We had a good home. We could pay our bills. And I will admit, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to be pregnant and not have my career started yet.
Isn't that?
And I shouldn't have been, but it was my own demons speaking to me.
I fully understand that. And it's when our identity is anchored in our external identity.
Right. And it was interesting too, because I was thinking about this. I'm waiting tables. I'm waddling around pregnant. I'm still trying to get into the nursing program. And who do I wait on? But my high school guidance counselor and her family. And in that moment, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I am married. I can't wear my ring because I'm too swollen, but I'm, and I'm pregnant and now I'm waiting tables and this isn't and that was probably the day I walked to the car sobbing. But, it was in that moment where I thought, okay, I know I'm meant to do other things. I just haven't found it yet. So there was a lot of angst leading into that acceptance letter. But then when it came, and I read through the requirement, it was robust. It was 16-week accelerated second bachelor's degree, which also gave me some pause because I was about to be a new mother. I was about to have an infant who I really didn't want to send to daycare. Could I, we weren't sure how we were going to afford that. I was fortunate to pay for my first degree with Miss America money, but my second degree in newlyweds and a new mortgage, but true to his nature, JP said, it's okay. We'll figure it out. He probably had more faith than he'd like to admit. He puts those little things out there. And I'm like,
does he still have his pageant boyfriend t-shirt?
Oh, just kidding. Did he have one? I don't know. I should. He had the one from Miss America. I'll have to look in our closet. But he was all about it. He said, no, we're going to figure it out. This is what you're meant to do. And he knew. And he even said, I wonder why you didn't explore that option the first go around. And I said, well, you were there too.
You just weren't supposed to.
I know. It
makes
wasn't.
The story even, right. I love you. I'm going to use your word, robust.
Yes, it was a robust program. Yeah. So but that was June of 2007. I got that acceptance letter and I had anxiety, but I also thought, okay, all right, you got accepted. It's got to be a sign I'm meant to be there. So I went to Wayne State College of Nursing and I waddled down there.
Here I come.
8 months pregnant.
Here I come.
Ready for orientation.
We're walking in.
And met with some stares, because the program directors, of course, they knew how hard this was going to be. And this was one of their first second degree programs. 17 years ago, that wasn't a thing. They didn't have accelerated dual entry. I mean, now we're seeing a lot of that and education's changing, but this was a relatively new concept. And it was amazing because I would walk in and a couple of people were like, all right, let's study together. And then there were others that said, I don't think you're going to make it.
Wow.
And it could have been discouraging, but I'll never forget this. Right.
Fuel.
I went to the University Health Center to get my physical and make sure I was ready for clinicals. And the nurse there said, I don't think you're biting off more than you can chew. I don't think you understand how difficult this is going to be. And I did.
Excuse me.
You don't know.
I beg your pardon.
You don't know me.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah. And it was almost, I could almost hear God speaking in a different way, like go ahead. I have a plan for her. You have no idea how successful she's going to be. So go ahead and make your comments because she's got this. And I could feel it. I walked out of
it's
that.
His will. It sounds like, I mean, we can never speak for God, but it sounds like it was His will for your life.
And it was also a support system, but He brought those individuals into my life for that purpose. I, of course, had a supportive husband. His parents, who live with us and have lived with us our entire marriage, are amazing. They were so excited to be grandparents a second time around. And then his aunt, it was amazing. I went right from school over to his aunt's house, whose kids I used to tutor. She was so supportive of me being a teacher. And I would go over to Aunt Kelly's and I said, guess what? I got into the College of Nursing. And she said, okay, I'm going to watch the baby then.
Oh
we had no idea how we were going to do this.
It's all in line. It's all lining up.
Mm-hmm. And she did. She just put it out there. She said, well, I'll watch the baby. I said, are you sure? It's 16 months of almost every day, long days, and then studying. She said, so? And it was almost like, why are you even questioning that? I just offered to watch your child. Take it.
Right. We start to because it's so it seems too good to be true, but it's like it just becomes easy.
Exactly. So I started the nursing program actually 2 weeks before I had Eve because they offered an accelerated 10-day health and physical assessment class, which was going to take 4 credits off of our fall load.
Wow.
10 days. And I went down to Wayne State every day for 10 days and studied every night and cried a lot too. I will admit it was a tough program and finished that class. So I had just a little less of a load that first semester when I was going to have a new baby. I figured if I can do this before she comes, then I'll be so happy in September when I have 1 extra day off, So I did that and then had Eve. And then a week later, I went to Beaumont Hospital for an interview. They were offering scholarships for the nursing program. They offered 6 scholarships to pay for the entire program. It was a partnership with Wayne State. And I couldn't even drive yet. JP had to take me. He and Eve sat in the car in the little parking structure. And I came in and I sat with a couple of nurses and they asked me, similar to my Miss America interview, why do you want to be a nurse? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would you
that prepared you?
And I had to laugh because they had no idea, similar to they have no idea how ready I am for these questions.
You don't even know.
So and we just had a wonderful conversation with these 2 lovely ladies and I left and went home and a couple of days later, I'm laying in bed. I'm nursing my brand new baby. I'm still kind of worried about what the future holds, but I'm feeling better about the likelihood of success. And Beaumont Hospital called and said, we're going to choose you for one of our scholarships. We're going to pay for your whole program. And there it was. That I could not wait to tell JP. I said that was the biggest piece of the puzzle that we were worried about. How are we going to pay for this second degree program? And then the best part was they said 1 condition. And I said, what? They said, you have to work for Beaumont for 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
And I said, I got a job.
That's what I'm hearing.
I got a job right out of college. That's great. Yeah. So it was a win-win. You're going to pay for my program and I get to work with you and you're going to give me the training as a new nurse that I need. And I couldn't believe it. I
It
couldn't
was
believe it.
all in line because it was
Mhm.
supposed to be.
Yes. Yeah. And
You had to. We have to go through these little seasons, moments, sitting in
Mhm.
the car of
Definitely.
humility,
Mhm.
surrender.
Right.
It's just
Right.
looking back, it's all so beautiful. It doesn't feel like it at the moment, but that's incredible. So then, what I love, the word that I'm just dying to say. It's okay if I say it. Is teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing that full circle.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I still thought, there was still a teeny degree, because I'm human,
Right.
of resentment. Like, wow, I spent a lot of money and a lot of time
Mhm.
to get a degree that I'm not using. And that's not an uncommon
No,
story.
yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty common story for a lot of people, especially in my generation, when there's different, evolutions of jobs and careers and recession and all that stuff. So, but I carried that a little bit with me for a little while. Went through the nursing program, got my job, started at Beaumont, realized very quickly how much I loved it, and how what a rewarding career it was. Would walk out at the end of the day exhausted, but such a different exhaustion than when I was waiting tables.
Yeah.
And it's just a rewarding
Yeah.
exhaustion. And but I still kept thinking, like, why did I have? What was the purpose of going through all of that to be a teacher, to not be a teacher? And so, a couple years into my nursing career, as I'm kind of growing up as a baby nurse and into this role as a nursing leader. I became charge nurse. I would orient new nurses. I really loved it. I thought, wow, I love taking these new nurses under my wing and telling them how to prioritize seeing their patients, and how to chart, and when,
Yeah.
and it was really enjoyable. And I thought, well, that's kind of teaching. And then it hit me. I said, I'm going to go back and get my master's degree, which was always kind of in the cards for me. And I'm going to teach nursing. So I went to school, and it was interesting because I was looking through a couple of degree programs, and I found there are 4 advanced practice degrees that a nurse can obtain. She or he can become a CRNA, a certified nurse anesthetist, a midwife, a nurse practitioner, or a clinical nurse specialist. And the clinical nurse specialist is the role that allows you to serve, and it's right in the description. It allows you to serve the triad, which spoke to me, of the nurse, your colleagues, the patient, and the organization itself.
Okay. Wow.
And I read the description of that program, and I thought, well, that's it. That's being a nurse teacher. And so
It's one of those moments where you look back and, again, big picture, and you're
yeah,
going,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah. So, and
we just don't.
yeah. And at that point, I had my son. So now I had 2 kids, and I was working full time, going back to school for my master's degree, and I loved the program, and did clinicals throughout, the Metro Detroit area, and earned my master's degree and became a clinical nurse specialist, and then was able to go back to school again because I wasn't done, and I was able to get my doctor of nursing practice degree, and was able to, and now I work in women's health. I work in obstetrics, and I teach our new grads, and I teach our nurses. I do competencies with them, and I write policies. And we have this thing in healthcare called evidence-based practice. We don't do things just because it sounds good, right? We research it, and then we bring it to the bedside. And so the things that are happening in research now, I take to the bedside, and I say, hey, we learned that this works better. Let me teach you how to do it.
You're teaching.
Yeah, and I love it.
It's just so beautiful. You hear this, you feel this little whisper, teaching. Why? And then it's, why not nursing? And it's all combined.
Yeah.
It's all the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I love your story.
And several people had to point that out. It wasn't obvious at first, but there were several people that said to me over the years, that first degree was not wasted, Madonna.
No.
The lessons you learned about how to be a good teacher, you are using. I said, yeah, that makes me feel way better than I originally thought. So
but the best part for me hearing your story is the fiber of who you were born to be. Psalm 139. He made us, he formed us in our mother's womb. And something I just realized about that scripture a few weeks ago is that it talks about how we're in the darkness and we're alone when we're in the womb. And you're in obstetrics. Yes. We start off in the darkness and alone. So when we are in those, I know we are in those moments as the tired waitress smelling like fried food, we're in the darkness and we're alone. But it was in that womb where he created us so fearfully and wonderfully. And he had a plan for your life, and you just living it out. And I love every ounce of it. You were the fiber of who you were made to be is a teacher and this incredible nurse that cares for people, and you get to teach other nurses how to do. It's incredible. Your story is amazing.
I love it too.
And then you were, and I know, I mean, when you were in the pageant world, I now through my faith journey, that's this whole stage is about like collecting.
It's amazing.
Oh, thanks. There's a pageant dress over there. The crowns are over there. This whole stage has props to tell the story about how I walked around. There's the detail bag, the pharmaceutical bag, the crown, the dress, all the things, collecting the accolades, the perm rods. If I can just get my perm, right? If all these things to collect all these accolades in my life. So if I can use enough, I can Aquanet hairspray my way to enoughness. I can crown my way.
Right.
We are looking for all these things to be enough, and we're already enough. And so collecting the accolades, so all that to say, I know the accolades they're a beautiful, exclamation mark on the things that God's already ordained in our life. Yes. So the accolades, they're beautiful. They're not where we hang our hat, but they're fun to talk about too. They are fun to talk about. So,
and nurses like to
and they love, and so well deserved. So I want you to tell the story about when this happened. I'm going to share this one and the one right after this.
Okay. So, okay. So that is Nurses Week is in May every year, and that happened to be Nurses Week 2020, which was a really difficult time for healthcare workers. When we were first struck with the pandemic, there were quite a number of nurses that left the career, left the profession.
I can imagine.
And doctors and respiratory therapists, and it was a scary time. So at Detroit Medical Center at Huron Valley, we decided, this is the year we celebrate big. And they brought in these huge cutouts because they wanted to recognize the superheroes that we were. And we tried, we had fun with it. We had fun with our patients. And Michelle.
Do you know Michelle? I'm seeing this real time.
Yes, I know.
Michelle's one of my dearest friends. I'm just seeing it, and you guys know each other. And she was one of the ones at lunch today that said, "Who's on?" I said,
"Oh, Madonna." Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! I love the connection.
Yeah. So, and it was interesting to me because when we got hit with COVID, most of my career now has been in labor and delivery, but during COVID, I was pulled to other units, med-surg units, emergency departments. And I had patients very similar to my grandmother.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt in this time of the pandemic that I was in the exact right spot more than others, and that this was exactly what I signed up for. And as scary as it was, the pandemic reinforced that I was where I was supposed to be.
The Book of Esther is just ringing in my head. You were created for a time such as this. That you were created for this. And then COVID, you're reliving these moments like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we were, and we rallied together. I mean, the nurses came together and doctors, and we were buying food for each other, and we were spending the night in the hospital because anybody exposed to COVID, especially in the beginning, had to go into quarantine. So there were days we were down to just a handful of us, and so it was really amazing. And I was so grateful to be a part of that team.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
I remember the healthcare professionals. It was unbelievable what you had to go through and learn on the job
all the time. And that was another part of my role, though. Okay, Madonna, what's the policy now? What's our
teach
TPE?
us?
Yes.
We don't even know yet.
What do we do? And I didn't know. And so I was researching and working together with infection preventionists, and we were trying to give direction where there was none because we hadn't ever had this happen, not in our lifetime anyway. And so long story short, that whole year was hard. And we had our kids who were learning online at home,
Right.
and a lot on teachers. Oh, God bless teachers too. But a lot of times there was an assumption that, your parents they're working from home too. Well, not nurses. We were not working from home. So we had that to balance too. And a couple of my colleagues nominated me for a Nightingale Award. The Nightingale, Florence Nightingale, is an award that is offered to a few nurses every year in the state of Michigan for over various, things, research, advanced practice, education. And I was fortunate during the pandemic to be the recipient of the Nightingale Award.
And
the reason why this picture is in my car is because when I went to accept the award, because of COVID, we couldn't have a ceremony.
Oh my gosh. Was it a drive-through ceremony?
It was. And it was funny because
it makes the picture even better.
It's a huge, beautiful celebratory thing every year, except for that year. And then, so I had to take that picture in my car.
Oh my goodness.
This was like winning an Oscar. It is so heavy. It's a bronze statue, and it goes on my wall. And it's a little reminder, not just about being a nurse and being proud to be a nurse, but being a nurse when it's hard to be a nurse. And I was never more proud to be one.
That on top of the fact, it's such a crescendo moment of your story, of all of it, the teaching degree, the why, all that we've talked about, to this moment right here. And look at your face.
I was.
You're so happy.
I was happy. You're
really happy.
I couldn't believe it when they called. They were so sweet. They said, "Is this Madonna Ladouceur?" I said, "It is." Well, we're calling with the Nightingale Award just to let you know you won. And it was like Publishers Clearinghouse. And I ran around the hospital. I ran into our CNO's office. I ran to my director's office. I said, "You'll never believe this. I won the Nightingale."
That is Madonna, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Steadfast in staying true. I mean, you were following something without even knowing it.
Exactly.
You were following it, knowing, just following that knowing in your heart.
Exactly.
And so you said in God Sprinkles, you related to the chapter Shattered Glass because of these moments. Oh, and there's another piece of the story that I want to share, your story that we were going to share too, but just how he puts these. Did you feel like they were just shattered? Is that what you?
It was kind of like, again, you have this plan, and it just crumbles in front of you, and you're not really sure what to do with the pieces,
right? And he just.
But if you have the faith and you trust, and sometimes they come together. And I didn't see it at first, but now looking back on it, teaching is a huge piece of my puzzle. It was not for nothing. It was not wasteful. It was necessary. I just didn't see it until it was upon me, and then
it all fits. He takes the shattered pieces and repurposes them, turns them into something that beautiful that we could have never orchestrated it.
And I tried to tell him my plans, and he laughed, and then he said, "No, here's what I got for you." And
that's my favorite.
I know. I love it too.
I love that. Oh my gosh, you have so many beautiful stories in your life, and I just wanted to, it's wow. And we don't have a time limit, but I would love. I would know. I love this.
I can talk a lot.
We've lived a lot of years. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I don't want to go without you sharing this this story of protection.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so I was talking to my sisters-in-law and telling them, like, what should I think I want to talk about my nursing journey, but gosh, this was such a pivotal moment in our lives. So a few years ago, my family and I were out to dinner for my daughter's birthday, and weather wasn't great in our area, and we were leaving the restaurant. Weather got really bad. We all went back in the restaurant, kind of hunkered down for a little bit.
If you're in the Commerce area, if you're in Michigan, they were at El Nibble Nook.
You will remember that. El Nibble Nook. And it was July 24th, 2021, that huge storm that came through the area. And the sirens went off too. So we knew it was here. I waited until we had a lot of children with us, all of my daughter's friends for her birthday. And we waited it out. And when we left, well, first of all, if you know El Nibble Nook, there's a glass ceiling in their atrium, which was where we were sitting.
Wow.
And moments after we exited the building, a tree fell through the glass ceiling.
I didn't know that
table.
Part.
Yes, I forgot about that actually.
You had divine protection.
It came down right on that
around you.
So we didn't know that until a couple of days later when we called the restaurant and said, "Guess what happened to us on the way home?" But we were leaving the restaurant when we thought the weather had passed. And my husband was in his truck with the boys, and I was in my vehicle with all the girls and all of my daughter's friends. And they were ahead of us. And we went down Richardson Road, which is a canopy of trees. It's a beautiful street. And all of a sudden the wind shifted, and JP and I were just dodging trees left and right. And then I couldn't see. I mean, just total the wind and the rain. And my phone rings, and I hear on the other end, we got hit.
Oh
I had absolutely no idea if my children were alive. None.
Oh my gosh.
And then the phone went dead. And again, talk about divine intervention. I turned immediately down a side street that was a new construction build, no trees. I had to get these girls off the road, and I ran down the road, and at the very end of the street was a house that belonged to one of the doctors I work with. And I jumped out of the car and I banged on the door in the middle of this tornado. And fortunately, his beautiful wife came upstairs and let us in. She was in the basement taking cover, let the girls and I all in. Still, in the meantime, I had no idea that the boys were okay.
Oh my gosh, how terrifying.
Yeah. Told her what happened. We started to try to call out. We couldn't get a line. It was probably an hour before my husband's friend, who just happened to be able to connect with him, was able to connect with me. He called as I'm kind of leaning out the window of her house to try to get good service, saying the boys are okay. They're alive. They made it out. The car's totaled. Brady got a little hurt, but they're okay. So then another hour passes where it was safe enough for us to go home. And I pull into the driveway and see, now my husband had a Ford 350. I mean, this is a super duty, huge vehicle. And I joked with him because I was pregnant with our third, Brady, when he bought that for himself. And I said, wait a minute, where's my push present, right? And he bought this massive truck. I said, why do you need such a big truck? I couldn't understand it. Now I do. And look at that headrest. If an adult had been there, that's the picture I go to often. If an adult had been sitting in that seat. Wow. I'm not sure they would have made it. And then there you can see how the roof bowed, and it came down on the car seat that Brady was in.
Oh my gosh.
And the tree was, more or less inside the car too, through the window. The glass had shattered, and my son
shattered glass again.
Oh yes, shattered glass. My son pulled Brady out from under the rubble and threw him in the front seat, and they were able to get out of that area and home. Of course, the truck was totaled, but the boys survived, and my husband survived. And there it is, the day they got rid of it. He had to take one last picture of the boys. And Jack was in the paper, local hero, for saving his brother. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, but it was just, I'm so grateful. Never in our lives have we been caught in a storm such as that, and he was watching out. It was not their time, which I'm so grateful for. But that took a lot of faith too, just because I had no idea. I had no idea what had happened to them. And I had to wait those agonizing hours to figure it out. But they were okay. And we talk about it all the time to this day. They remember.
Thank you, oh my goodness.
Yes. Praise Jesus. Yeah.
That is an incredible story. Those pictures, unbelievable. And especially when you see the one with the car seat,
the car
and then
seat,
the one with oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad you're.
Yes, and they are, and they're fine. And now, as they've gotten a little older, it's again kind of a badge of honor. We survived a tornado, and but I talk about it often because it's truly by the grace of God that they were okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
God. You had some scriptures here. I'd love for you if you want to share any of those.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
So actually going back to my fabulous Bible that Leilani gave me, I have stuff everywhere, just written, jotted down, things that inspire me. Always, of course, Proverbs 3, verses 5-6, but then also Philippians 4:13, which I know you caught a glance of. I can do everything through him who strengthens me.
I love it.
I have that on, I think, repeat in my brain sometimes through different parts of my life. And then Psalms 23 actually speaks to me similar to that, be not afraid.
Right.
And it's very poignant because there's so many things that we do in our life as human beings where we can't see the end, We can't see the culmination of our work until it's upon us. So all we have is to walk by faith,
Right.
and not by light.
Right.
And then lastly, I have notes in here. I've always enjoyed reading The Purpose-Driven Life. I try to read it every Lent. I also think that was a gift from Leilani, believe it or not. And
Leilani,
I know,
yes.
she's just amazing. She's just a prayer warrior. But this is something I like to talk about. God wants you to pass the tests of life, so he never allows the tests you face to be greater than the grace he gives you to handle them.
Oh my goodness.
And that came from Rick Warren. And then
I love Rick Warren.
Mm-hmm. And he has just such a way of putting it into words. And then lastly, God develops the Spirit in your life by allowing you to experience circumstances in which you are tempted to express the exact opposite quality. So teaching me a little patience.
Yeah, the fruits of the Spirit.
Yes, teaching me a little grace. Despite my anger and resentment at times, it has
They're so good.
colored everything that I think of now. And every time there's a hiccup, I always, now learning that lesson, say, there's got to be a reason for it. There's got to be a purpose. I may not know it because I'm not smart enough to know it. That's okay. But it'll come to me. He'll bring it to us.
It's there's such great guardrails. It's in Galatians, the fruits of the Spirit, because it just gives us the guidelines of, we don't know where to start. What do I do? That's a great place to start, is the fruits of the Spirit. That's awesome. I love that. You have been awesome. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or share?
No, I'm so grateful to be here. I mean, it's very therapeutic to get that story out. I'm grateful, and I love sharing it because, again, I think that blindness of the unknown, we walk through that all the time, and knowing there are other people that go through those struggles, and you can learn from those, and maybe not up front, but eventually. And those are just the gifts that he gives us. And maybe the reason my grandmother had a stroke was to lead me down this path, or to lead those nurses down a path of advanced practice, or who knows? I mean, we're not always supposed to know, but he's there, and he gives us those little nuggets, little sprinkles.
And it's you just said it's therapeutic to share the story. Yeah. It's therapeutic for people to hear your story, because you may affect somebody's life that you may never know. They may never reach out to you and tell you that your story affected them. They may be going through a trial right now where they're going, God, why? What am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? Show this book to them. That's a really great book.
I've always enjoyed this book. It's great.
Rick
the
Warren,
chapters.
The Purpose-Driven. That's a classic.
Yes, and this is funny too, because I don't know why I use the covers a lot as bookmarks, and so when I got it out of my nightstand, I opened it up. The reason for everything is the chapter that opened up.
Perfect.
The reason for everything, and we don't always know the reason, but there is a reason for everything, and that comforts me when I don't know the path, or when I don't know the direction, or when I'm fearful of making the wrong choice. I know that even the wrong choices lead you to the right one when he is with you.
When it's a divine plan. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song by Alison Krauss, if you guys want to look it up. It's called There Is a Reason. And it's so good when you equate it to, well, she's a Christian. So it reminds me of that. Can you hand me that right there? That right there. Yes. I have to have this because, Madonna was so sweet. She brought me a little gift, and two of the things in the gift, I just have to show you guys because this relates to the book. She brought me batteries. You want to tell is from the? You related.
Yes,
you said you related.
Yes, I relate to it. It was, I'm reading your book and I'm laughing. I'm at gymnastics reading it with my daughter, and I'm laughing out loud. And I said, "This is absolutely they're never there when you need them, and you need them all the time.
Where are the batteries?" And
it was so. It was so funny how many things that I related to. And then when you said you wanted to buy super glue for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because
I do that all the time.
What is the name of the chapter? I remember it's
right in the beginning.
Crystal Clear Vision.
Yeah.
And it's about how my daughter brought a friend's crown home. And I love this because we're both, we're both pageant girls. I mean, scholarship program girls. Brought a crown home, and she wanted to fix her friend's crown. And I was out of crazy super glue. But the reason I wanted to tell this story too is I love that. First of all, thank you so much.
Sure.
And this means so much to me because like, oh, it's right from the book. But I love it because you were talking about your girlfriends from the Miss America organization and how you guys have been straightening each other's crown and and they were part of your faith journey. And that's I just love how it brings this chapter and this story full circle. That we get to be that for one another. And I love to say that God is the one that he, divinely puts the crown on our head, but we can help each other and straighten it.
And I think that that's part of what we need to share with our younger women. It is our job and our service to Jesus to lift women up and not tear them down. And we can do that in a variety of ways, but there you gain nothing from tearing someone else down. So build them up, straighten their crown, tell them they have lipstick on their teeth. And you've not lost anything by doing that.
No,
fact,
friends don't let friends with the lipstick.
And it's and people will ask me, wasn't it catty in pageants? And I'll say, there
could be.
There were people maybe you didn't get along with. Not every personality jives. But I am telling you, more than the crown, more than the money, more than the women, and especially these 7 girlfriends and Francesca and Leilani, who were all in pageants, that is what I walked away with. And again, I didn't see it at the time, but the purpose of my journey has led to so many other things. But those women in my life and what they do for me daily, even not being close by geographically, they're just the greatest gift. Next to my family that I could ever. Do you want to
say any other names or what states they're from? Or?
Oh, sure. Oh, they would love that.
Let's see. Who are they?
Are you ready? So, loved my class at Miss America, but got especially close with Jessica from New York, Miss New York. Yes.
Love.
Marina, who was Miss Maryland, who then went on to become Miss Maryland USA also.
I love.
She's amazing. She was 3rd runner-up. She's fabulous. Catherine, who was Miss Alabama, who my daughter Eve is named after. Eve's name is Eve Catherine. And I wanted her to be named after a strong woman that I respected. And Catherine was the Quality of Life Award recipient that year.
Oh my gosh.
So it's amazing. Allie, who was Miss Mississippi, but now lives in California. Jamie, who was Miss Tennessee, and she was in my wedding. Andrea, who was Miss Georgia, who talk about faith and persistence and trust, was Miss Georgia's first runner-up, I think 3 years in a row.
What was her first name?
Andrea.
And
the most beautiful voice and faith, and the fact that we met up at Miss America the year that we did, I think was just completely God-driven. And then Melissa, who also was Miss Louisiana, but also lives in California now. And those 7 ladies, we just adore each other. And we have together 23 children.
Wow.
23 junior POWs. We call ourselves POWs. And it's funny, my dad will say, that's a true testament to the Miss America organization that 8 of you can have 23 kids.
Wow.
So,
I love. And you all straighten each other's crown metaphorically.
We do. Oh, yes. That. And physically when we're together and hair and teeth and all that.
I love it.
No, they're fabulous ladies.
Friends don't let friends with all this stuff. Yes. I love it. Well, oh my gosh, I have loved every second. You know about the sparkly bag, right? The question. I think I threw a lot of them on the floor last time because they were repeats.
I was so excited because this is pageants all over again. All right. And I knew Leilani was going to nail it and all your other friends. This is great. So again, full circle moment.
Yes.
Okay.
The sparkly bag question. On stage, I see you got it. I knew it. There's cards in there, so we're going to read this one. These are devotional cards. Okay. There's also pieces of paper. Grab a paper, and then we'll read this one too, because this is meant to be.
Okay, paper. Got it.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say. Oh, I thought that was what you read earlier. Okay, let's see. Madonna, your on stage question is.
Can we get a microphone?
What there? I had one. Oh, I put it on the mic stand. What is a fun fact about you that we may not know? Which is funny because a lot of people don't.
I mean, we get that in pageants sometimes.
What is a fun fact?
I feel like I'm an open book. Let me think. A fun fact that many people don't know.
Fun fact.
I mean, my fun fact when I go places is usually I was Miss Michigan.
Oh,
but you already know that. So
pretend like you didn't hear it. Just say it again.
No, that's okay. I can come up with one. It's I talk about pageantry and my love for all of these fabulous ladies, but I am actually one of 4. I have 3 brothers, and then when my parents were remarried, brought 3 more brothers to the table. JP is one of 3 with brothers. So
did I hear you say all brothers?
All brothers. So in that I grew up with, just brothers, and I wished every single day on every candle, every wishing star for a sister. And now all of them are married to the most amazing women. My sisters-in-law, which I don't even say the in-law hardly
Just
ever.
sisters.
My sisters.
Just like your girlfriends from Miss America. They're your sisters now too.
Yes.
You have a bunch,
I
a slew of sisters.
I do. And so, and again, I didn't see it at the time, but now he did gift me sisters.
Yes.
Angie and Trish and Nikki and Shannon and Lauren. And I have all of these beautiful sisters, and most newly Sue. I have sisters.
You have sisters.
And they're amazing sisters.
Oh my gosh. I love
what
that.
a gift too.
Brother, I bet you were so protected. I mean,
made fun of a lot.
Were you allowed to date at all with all these? I mean, were they protected?
Yeah, they were. I didn't date though.
Yeah.
More my choice than anything. They love JP. They have a great relationship with JP. Yeah. My JP was filming Miss Michigan, my crowning moment, from the balcony at Fruenthal. And as they're coming down with second runner up, third, first runner up. And when they announced me as the winner, my favorite part was you hear my brothers cheering. They would make fun of me, all pageants, but they were proud. So proud. And it was it's my favorite thing to play back is them cheering loudly because their sister just won Miss Michigan and they're going to Atlantic City, and they were very proud of me, and I'm grateful for that. And they are all fabulous individuals too. So that's my fun fact. I have a very large family, mostly brothers, and all of these.
You know what?
Chosen sister.
Before we go though, as you were telling the story, I know I want to tell this fun fact about you. I don't know if I have all the details.
Okay.
Like, what is it? Guess what I know. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just wanted to tell the story. Actually, you tell the story. I know we were a little over, but I don't want to leave without you telling this beautiful fact about you. I think I have it right about Haley.
Oh, yeah.
Did she always want to be a dancer? Did she want to be?
Her cerebral palsy kind of limited her physical mobility. Okay. But she was always very and I don't want to speak for her, but she was always very led by song, and she sang. And when we first met and started kind of getting to know one another, and they asked us to do a video, that's when we decided, why don't you sing and I'll dance for you.
So will you so just before we go, Haley, you were Miss Michigan.
Yes.
And she was how old?
Oh gosh. So let's see. She was.
We got to get this video somewhere. I've played this video so many times. And so then she sang.
She did.
And what was she singing? Because I've seen it so many times, I just can't remember the detail.
She sang a song. This was a long time ago, but I'm almost positive it was called "Don't Laugh Out Loud," and it was about making fun of people who are different, making fun of people who are with disabilities. And she sang about how you have no idea how we go and cry in the corner after you've said those cruel words. And she sang about her strength, and so she sat there on stage and sang, and I danced behind her, and they did a lovely little spotlight. But my favorite part of that actually was there was a moment that she was feeling tired and kind of winded, and she got upset. And so they have on film me running on stage in like this really weird floppy manner, trying to make her laugh, and she starts laughing. And it was a really precious moment because, again, we were building each other up. She had a moment that she needed help, and I said, well, we're gonna push past this, we're gonna do this. And we started laughing, and then the next take we nailed it,
finding the super glue to fix the crown.
Yes.
I love that. That's not only it's a beautiful fact about you. And I've watched that video so many times when it came out, and we got to find it somewhere.
Yeah, it might be around.
Because I would love to actually put that on Facebook and then share it with everybody. Okay, I want to read this too, because you pulled this card, and it is Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans.
Oh my gosh.
Leave nothing to chance and everything to God. I love that.
Amen.
I love it.
Great.
Well, would you mind praying for us before we go?
Love to pray.
That
Thank
would be
you so
awesome.
much.
Of course.
Okay. Father Jesus, please, Lord Jesus, thank you so much for bringing me here, bringing me at this place and time, at this moment. Marlo, this wonderful this wonderful proverb in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for my career. Thank you for helping me navigate through the dark waters. Thank you for allowing me to feel the grace of your presence in hard times. And thank you for laying your hands on all of our patients, all of our family members, all of our friends, and the wonderful gifts that you provide to us in our lives each day that remind us that you are with us, you are walking with us, and when needed, you are carrying us through the darkness.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I love. Thank you so much. That you have been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
It's so good to be reconnected with you.
Yes,
I love it.
Absolutely.
Well,
this was so fun.
You have blessed
Thank you
people.
so much.
You have changed maybe someone's life and their hope in Jesus that you may never know. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for your support with Sprinkle Pods. It's been I've been doing this since winter. It's been going on for quite some time. So there might be a few pop-ups in the summer and maybe a season 2. And I'll be praying about that and see what God has in store. But
great.
Yeah, you guys, thank you so much for all of your feedback and for being here every week. And so I really appreciate it. Okay. We're going to end for now. So we'll see you all later and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.